Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all of you. So I hope you are in a good health, and today we are going to discuss about uh, another topic related to Islamic money market. As a recap, uh, last week we already have discussed about the last week I already discussed about the money market from conventional perspective. So if you can recall, we already discussed about the functions of money market, and also we already discussed some of the instruments or products which are available in the money market, such as the treasury bills. Also we have here the repo or repurchase agreements, repo. And then we also have the negotiable certificates of deposits, or known also the short form is CDs. And also we did discuss about the bankers acceptance, if I'm not mistaken. So BA, bankers acceptance. So this is the things that we have already discussed, whereby I forward to you or share with you some of the videos which are related to all of these instruments. And I believe the most important things here is you should understand what is the functions of the money market. So for example, your friends in Telegram group have already responded that one of the functions of money market is for functions of money market. So the functions of money market is first one for liquidity management. Liquidity management for the banks. So if you see bank, as I always repeated over and over again, so bank act as a financial intermediary between the surplus unit and the deficit unit. So between the surplus unit and the deficit unit. So here the surplus unit granted the bank the deposit, and with that deposit the bank channel it to the deficit unit, financing the deficit unit. So in some cases, sometimes the bank is facing the challenges managing its the amount of deposit here and the amount that they granted the financing. So here is the bank's liability. So here is the bank assets. Assets. So it's important for bank to manage its liquidity because normally the assets is in the long term. It's normally long term. But in contrast, the liability, most of the liabilities or the deposits are in the form of short-term deposits. So it happens sometimes the liability side is not balanced with the assets. So in this case, the bank is exposed to liquidity risk. So to manage that, to manage the potential liquidity risk, so it is important for bank to have some sort of mechanism for the bank to manage the liquidity risk. So for that case, for example, the liability sides, the total for each day of liability of the bank is equivalent to, for example, 100 million. Yeah? 100 million. But in case of assets, it's more than the liabilities, 150 million. So the banks are in need of extra cash, yeah, to manage the liability and the assets. So the bank needs another 50 million to make the liability and asset balanced. So this 50 million, so the bank can ask it from the money market, yeah, from the money market. So how or what is the instruments available in the money market? So that is what we have already discussed in the previous slides. So how money market functions? So money market. So here bank which have deficit or the liability is greater than the assets. Yeah. On the other side, so this one is the deficit bank. So on the other side is the surplus banks. Yeah, so surplus banks whereby the here so here the liability side is lower than the asset, whereby in the surplus banks the liability is greater than the assets. So here the bank which have more liability, so what the bank can do, the bank can channel it into a money market through using the instruments that we have mentioned just now, and then the bank from the deficit banks whereby their liabilities is lower than the assets can utilize money from the money market. Yeah. So using the instruments that we have mentioned just now. Yeah. So the instrument ni nanti kita boleh tengoklah apa kesesuaian yang several criteria that each bank will see. The first one is the tenure or the maturity period, and the other one is, I think, the amount that this bank is in need, and also the amount that this bank is able to channel to the money market. And also the one of another things is the profit rate, yeah? The rate of the profit, yeah? Profit rate. So that is the consideration when each bank, when one bank have deficits in term whereby the liability is lower than the assets, and for the surplus banks whereby the liability is greater than the assets. So money market here play its role as the intermediary between the deficit banks and also the surplus banks. So that is the recap of what we already have discussed in the previous lecture, and how money market functions as a liquidity instrument or liquidity management for the banks. So thank you very much. We see in the next lecture, next videos. Thanks.